if we know the final destination is death,
Hmm.
why are we born at all?
Oh, wow. I mean, it is the ultimate existential roadblock, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's that question that just sits quietly beneath, well, almost everything we do, just kind of waiting for a moment of silence to creep in.
It really is. And, today we are taking a deep dive into a text that tackles this question head on with zero sugarcoating.
Not at all.
Right. So for everyone listening, welcome to the deep dive. We are looking at a February 2025 essay by an author named Zufeng, and it's titled, quite directly, If the End is Death, Why Live?
Yeah, he really just goes right for the throat with that title.
He does. And our mission today is to unpack this incredibly stark, real no-nonsense philosophical framework about human existence. We're going to examine how we survive, what we value, and, what it actually means to live a meaningful life when faced with our inevitable end.
Which, I know sounds pretty grim right off the bat.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. But the imagery the author uses to start this essay, while it sounds abrasive, it actually builds toward this fascinating blueprint for joy and absolute freedom.
Right.
And it's important to note, just to ground us before we start, the text eventually moves into some very specific spiritual claims about the soul and the afterlife.
Which we are not taking sides on.
Exactly. My role here is to help you, the listener, synthesize these bold analogies without us endorsing a specific religious view. We are just going to explore them impartially as a profound thought experiment.
Yeah, we just want to see how adopting this specific lens might completely rewrite how you view your own life, your daily anxieties, and your ultimate goals.
Because it really can flip your perspective upside down.
It totally can.
Right.
Because before we can figure out how to live, we have to look at the baseline reality of, well, what is actually happening to us? And Shu Feng doesn't pull any punches here.
No, he really doesn't.
He opens with his gut punch comparison, likening the human life trajectory to pigs.
Yeah, it's intense.
It is. The text states that when a pig is born, we already know that 99% of them will ultimately meet their end by slaughter. And the author draws a direct line from that to us.
Right, saying that no matter how noble or lowly a person's birth might be, their final destination is exactly the same.
Okay, let's unpack this, because I have to admit my first reaction to reading this was, well, intense resistance.
Totally understandable. It stings the ego.
Right. Equating human lives, with all our complexity, our art, our capacity for love, to livestock destined for the abattoir. It just feels incredibly cynical, like it's designed to degrade the human experience.
Yeah, the initial read definitely stings. But what's fascinating here is that looking closer at the mechanics of the metaphor, the author isn't just dismissing human complexity to be provocative.
He's not.
No, I mean, he is using this extreme comparison to completely dismantle human hierarchy. Think about the specific detail he introduces next in the text.
Oh, the part about the fat pig.
Exactly. He says a fat pig has absolutely no reason to mock a thin pig because their ultimate fate is identical.
Right. The fatness of the pig offers zero leverage over the final outcome.
Exactly. Which means the wealthy and the powerful really have no grounds to ridicule the poor. Death is the great equalizer that makes all that status entirely irrelevant.
Which maps so directly onto our modern obsession with wealth and status.
Oh, absolutely.
The social structures we spend our entire lives agonizing over who has the most zeros in their bank account, who has the senior partner title, who lives in the gated community. It's all neutralized.
Yeah, death is presented here as making all that status mathematically irrelevant. We can actually look at this through the lens of evolutionary psychology.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, human beings are hardwired to hoard resources and seek status. For most of our species' history, being the thin pig meant you literally might not survive the winter, right?
Right. It was literal life or death.
But in modern society, that survival instinct has mutated. We apply that exact same life or death anxiety to abstract concepts.
Like stressing over credit scores.
Yes. Credit scores, social media metrics, luxury brands. Weffing is pointing out the sheer absurdity of this.
Because if the end state is 100% certain for everyone, then the frantic accumulation phase in the middle doesn't change the final math at all.
Exactly.
That reframes the sting of the metaphor entirely for me. It's not meant to degrade us. It's meant to humble the ego, I think.
Yeah, it highlights how ridiculous it is to look down on someone else just because you've managed to hoard a few more resources in the pen.
You could arrive at the final destination in a luxury car or on a city bus, but you are still arriving at the exact same door.
It's a very leveling thought.
It is. But accepting that our social status doesn't matter only solves half the problem.
How do you mean?
Well, even if I stop trying to be the fattest pig, I still have to pay my rent.
Right. Yeah.
I still have to wake up and take action. I can't just opt out of physical reality.
And that realization of our shared fate inevitably forces us to confront the futility of our daily actions, which brings us right to Su Feng's second major analogy.
Moving from status to action.
Exactly. If our status doesn't matter, what about our daily grind? The essay compares humans to insects.
Another deeply flattering comparison for the human ego.
Oh, yeah, just what we want to hear.
But the logic, honestly, is difficult to argue with.
Mhm.
The author points out that if you look at even the smallest insect, the moment it is born, it just wriggles.
It wriggles tirelessly, just struggling against its environment to survive.
Right. And then the text asks us to look at humans. As soon as we grow up, we begin a lifetime of ceaseless toil.
It's nonstop.
The frantic busyness of an insect and a human, according to this essay, are virtually indistinguishable from a macro perspective.
They really are.
It actually reminds me of being on a treadmill. It's like we're running, adjusting the incline, tracking our heart rate, completely convinced we're winning a race.
Oh, I like that.
But if you zoom out, we're just sweating in place, trying not to fall off a moving belt we didn't even turn on.
That treadmill analogy is perfect. It captures the core tragedy of human existence as defined by this source material. Yeah, because the text explicitly points out this profound helplessness. Humans, just like pigs and insects, have absolutely no say in whether we are born or not. We have no choice in our arrival.
We just show up.
We just show up, yet the moment we materialize, we are bound by the physical laws of nature to struggle, to labor, and to strive just to maintain our survival.
We just wake up one day and realize the belt is moving, and if we don't start wriggling, we're going to get thrown off.
Exactly. And we are forced to, wriggle while knowing in the back of our minds that the machine eventually gets turned off anyway.
Right.
This concept actually parallels existential philosophies like absurdism. Think of Albert Camus and the myth of Sisyphus.
Oh, perpetually pushing the boulder up the hill,
Yeah.
only to watch it roll back down.
Yes, Su Feng is identifying that exact same inherent absurdity. Our busyness is just an illusion of control over a fate that is already sealed.
That word wriggling really gets under the skin when you apply it to modern life.
It really does.
You think about the things we consider highly important, like answering an urgent work email at 11:00 p.m., or stressing out over a quarter-point change in a mortgage rate.
Or fighting through rush hour traffic just to sit at a desk.
Right. We dress it up in sophisticated language, calling it career progression or financial planning. But structurally, from the universe's perspective, that is literally just highly sophisticated wriggling.
It is the biological imperative of survival wrapped up in modern anxieties. We trick ourselves into believing that if we just wriggle fast enough or efficiently enough, we can somehow outmaneuver the existential dread.
But all the productivity hacks in the world won't change the nature of the insect.
Nope, not at all.
Now, if the essay stopped right there, it would be purely nihilistic.
It would be incredibly depressing.
It would basically say, you are a pig waiting for the slaughter, wriggling on a treadmill like a bug. Enjoy your Tuesday.
Yeah, have a great week.
Exactly. It'd be a crushing perspective. But the author pivots. He asks a crucial question.
Which is, how can we actually live joyfully while avoiding worry and sorrow?
Right. If life is just this terminal span between a forced birth and an inevitable death, how do we avoid the paralyzing fear of the end? And here's where it gets really interesting.
Yes, this is the turn.
Whiffing introduces a massive philosophical variable into the equation. What if death is merely the end of the physical body and the soul continues?
Which is the turning point of the entire essay. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, even if you, as a listener, view this strictly as a philosophical lens rather than a literal religious truth.
Which is how we're approaching it today.
Right. Just consider what this single premise does to the math of human existence we've been discussing.
It changes everything.
It really does.
Yeah.
Under this framework, life is no longer just the terminal span between a forced birth and a slaughterhouse.
It totally recontextualizes the timeline. It changes a closed loop into a continuum.
Yes. The text describes life under this new paradigm as a short interlude in the grand journey of existence.
Like a layover.
Exactly, a layover. And this realization, this specific shift in perspective, is the fork in the road that divides all of humanity into two distinct types, according to the author.
Okay, let's use the layover analogy for a second.
Let's do it.
If you are stuck at an airport terminal for a 3-hour layover, and you know you are only there temporarily, You don't spend your time trying to become the mayor of the terminal.
Right, you don't campaign for office at gate B4.
Exactly. You don't try to hoard all the seats at the boarding gate or stress out about remodeling the airport bathrooms. You understand the environment is temporary.
You grab a coffee, you read a book, and you wait for your actual flight.
Right. And Zufeng is essentially suggesting that the people who obsess over status and wealth are trying to become the mayor of the airport terminal.
That captures the dynamic perfectly.
Thank you. So what do these two paths actually look like in practice?
Well, the text outlines this first type of humanity as those who live solely to accumulate wealth, material possessions, power, and status.
The mayors of the terminal.
Right, and according to the essay, these people are basically just a variant of the pigs and the insects we discussed earlier.
He doesn't let up with the metaphors.
He doesn't. The author uses a phrase that is incredibly sharp here. He says, people obsessed with becoming superior to others are merely pigs striving to become fatter pigs.
Wow. It is a devastating critique of materialism, especially when you attach it to the soul's journey.
It really hits hard.
Because becoming the fattest pig offers zero protection from the death of the physical body, and it does absolutely nothing to prepare the soul for whatever comes next.
Nothing at all.
If your entire life's energy is spent merely optimizing your comfort on the treadmill or fighting to be the most important insect in the dirt, you have completely missed the point of the interlude.
You are trapped in the mechanics of mere survival, playing a game that is mathematically impossible to win.
Yeah.
You are investing all your spiritual capital into a physical vessel that has a fixed expiration date.
So what does this all mean for someone who wants to be the other type of person? I can hear a listener, or at least my own internal skeptic, wondering what the alternative actually requires.
That's a very fair question.
If I want to recognize the interlude, does that mean I need to sell all my possessions, quit my job, and go live as an ascetic monk on a mountain? Is Zhuefeng arguing that any participation in the physical world is inherently a failure?
Actually, no. The text doesn't advocate for dropping out of society or rejecting the physical world entirely.
Oh, okay.
The second type of human might appear outwardly very similar to the first. They still have to exist in the physical world. They still require shelter and sustenance. They still pay rent.
Right.
But fundamentally, their internal engine is completely different. The text defines the second group as people who actively pursue happiness, joy, freedom, and bliss.
And they do that to ensure their soul journeys to a better place.
Yes, exactly. To ensure that after their physical body perishes, their soul is prepared. The text points out specific terminology here. It says, these individuals are not pigs or insects. They are the seeds of celestial beings, Buddhas, and angels.
The seeds, I like that. A seed implies potential.
It does.
And more importantly, a seed needs dirt to grow. It doesn't complain about being buried in the dark. It uses the nutrients in the soil to transform into something else entirely.
Wow, yes.
The physical world, with all its wriggling and stress, is just the dirt.
That is a brilliant way to conceptualize it, because the author makes a crucial distinction here. Being a seed is not about passive waiting.
It's not just sitting in the terminal.
No, it's not about just sitting around enduring the dirt and hoping for a good afterlife by default. The text describes it as an active dedication.
Okay.
It says these individuals dedicate their lives to ensuring their soul transcends. It's a daily active choice to evolve one's existence toward what the author calls a more beautiful space.
So the physical actions might look similar. You still go to work, you still interact with society, but the why has entirely shifted.
Completely shifted.
When you face a difficult situation at work or a financial setback, you no longer process it as an existential threat to your survival.
No, you process it as resistance training for your soul.
Right. You aren't trying to be the fattest pig. You are trying to nourish the seed.
You are no longer reacting to the terror of mortality. In this framework, the pursuit of joy and bliss isn't treated as mere hedonism or like a weekend luxury.
It's the actual work.
It is the necessary spiritual work required to evolve. You are utilizing the physical interlude to prepare for the continuation of the journey.
That is an incredibly empowering reframing of what it means to be happy.
It really is.
It elevates happiness from just a fleeting chemical reaction in the brain to a profound spiritual responsibility. It means that finding joy, protecting your peace, and seeking absolute freedom aren't selfish acts. They are the literal purpose of the layover.
I hear the whole point.
This deep dive has taken us on a massive psychological journey today.
It certainly has.
I mean, we started in some really dark territory. confronting the jarring, undeniable reality of our physical mortality. We looked closely at how our biological survival instincts and our societal conditioning make us behave like insects sweating on a treadmill.
The wriggling.
The wriggling. We analyzed the trap of the human ego and how our obsessions with status just turn us into fat pigs waiting for the exact same door as the thin pigs.
But from that absolute deconstruction of the human ego, Fu Feng provides a pathway to liberation.
He does.
By viewing life not as a terminal trap we didn't ask for, but rather as a brief, grand interlude for the soul, the entire calculus changes. We are freed from the frantic need to just survive.
We can choose to transcend the wriggling. We don't have to be defined by the treadmill.
And the text leaves the reader with a very clear, direct call to action.
What does it say?
Su Feng writes, quote, "Do not let the illusion of death blind your spiritual vision, nor allow yourself to live like a pig or an insect."
That's powerful.
The directive is to point your life directly toward happiness, joy, freedom, and bliss. And the author explicitly warns against letting fear stop you. The text says, do not shrink back because of the risks along the way, and do not let the certainty of death fill you with sorrow.
Don't let the fear of the flight ruin your time in the terminal.
Exactly.
That resonates on such a practical level. And, as we wrap up today, I want to leave you, the listener, with one final thought to mull over, building directly on the profound challenge this essay presents.
It's a great question to ask yourself.
Think about the things you stressed over this morning. The passive-aggressive email you spent 20 minutes drafting a reply to, the perceived slight from a colleague, the social status you are constantly exhausting yourself to protect.
All the wriggling.
All the wriggling. If you truly accepted that your physical survival is just a brief, temporary interlude, and that becoming the fattest pig in the pen changes absolutely nothing about your final destination, what bold risk for your own genuine joy and freedom would you finally be willing to take today?